to Fearless Friday, your day to reclaim your weekend and your life. Today, we're going to talk about and discuss moving through emotions. Now, so many times when we go through transitions, when we go through a job change, a birth, a death, a marriage, a divorce, job start, job loss, we go through these emotional feelings, and sometimes we really try to rush the process, or we really try to pretend we don't feel the way that we do. So one of the tools that I love to use in my practice as well as in my personal life is the emotional guidance scale. And I actually have a link below, so if you'd like to print it off and use it in your own life and in your own practice, I really encourage you. Now, what this emotional scale illustrates is the energetic, vibrational patterns and energetic patterns and feelings associated with those patterns. And when we get to the highest level is joy and freedom and love and appreciation. The lowest level, which is down to 22, is fear and grief and depression and powerlessness. And so in various facets of our life, we are at various points in this particular scale. So let's just say that you have a fabulous career and your career is just going so great and you love every aspect of it. You could be at a 1 or at the very top of the scale in the emotional guidance scale. Let's just say that you have a really great relationship with your kids. Maybe they're teenagers, so maybe sometimes it fluctuates. So with your teenagers, you might be at a 5, which is very optimistic, okay? Now, maybe one of your relationships is really suffering, possibly a divorce or something else. So then in that aspect, you could get knocked down all the way down to 22. But no, now many times, especially in today's society when we have Twitter and Facebook and YouTube videos of everybody preaching positivity all the time, many times it's really challenging when you do get knocked down how to kind of pick yourself back up, because we're thinking, I shouldn't feel this way, because we live in a universe that is governed by the law of attraction. And most of us, if you're watching this video, are familiar with the law of attraction. And so most of us know, oh my gosh, I can't sit down here at this 22 level in this fear and this grief and feeling powerless, because that's going to draw more of that into my life. However, if you rush the process and try to try to move up this ladder too quickly, you miss the lesson. You miss the value of being in these lower energies. Now, I know that may sound counterproductive. Okay, think about your life, this one facet that you've been knocked down to the bottom of the scale. Okay, think about that one facet of your life, like cleaning your room. So think about when you were a kid and your parents made you clean your room. So you had to take all the stuff out from under your bed, from your closets and everything else. Now it's like all over your room. Now, one of the things that my mom used to always say to me is, honey, your room is gonna get worse before it gets better, because you had to take everything out, okay? So that's pretty much what your life is gonna be like when you get knocked down the emotional scale. And we look at all this stuff that's out here and we go, ugh. And it's really easy to feel overwhelmed, to feel fear, to feel very insecure, to feel a whole gamut of emotions. And it's really easy to let people trick you and kid you into thinking, oh, you can suck it up. Oh, you're so strong, you'll be fine. And then when we feel ourselves slipping into sadness or slipping into feeling overwhelmed, it's really easy for us to go, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? One of the things that I recommend is that you sit with these emotions. If you notice fear is coming up, well, sit with that fear and notice and pay attention to what is coming up with that fear. What's the lesson? What's the value in that emotion? Maybe you move up the scale and then you feel hatred and rage, or maybe anger. Feel the anger, feel it and own it. Go to the gym and beat the crap out of some punching bag or whatever. Go for a run. Work it out. Working out is one of the best ways to move energy. And that's the key, is when you feel any type of emotion, when you're knocked down, going through a transition, when you're knocked down and you're moving up this scale, you're feeling these emotions, know that it's just for a time. And know that in order for you to really glean the value and to really glean exactly what you need to, is to be with it and sit with it. And when you sit with that particular emotion, whatever it is that you're feeling, you're gonna find the value and you're gonna find the aha moment. Key is to get the emotions out, to process and feel the emotions, whether you talk it out with a friend or go for a run or do whatever, but allow yourself to process through the emotions and not rush the process. And know that some emotions, some of these things on this scale, you could easily go through in an hour. Others, it may be a week. Now, what happens when we rush through this process, we tend to repeat those patterns. So let's just say that you had an unhealthy career. It was just not healthy for you. Every time you went to work, you were just like, oh, and you were tired and you just hated going to work. And then let's just say that you got fired. You're like, yes. You know, you were upset that you got fired, but you were glad that it was done. Well, then you went, and then you got another job. It was very similar and the same thing. Now, let's just say that you had a bad relationship or a relationship that just didn't resonate with you. And then let's just say that you ended the relationship and you felt maybe sad, maybe fear, and all these lower energies, and people were like, oh, come on, suck it up, you're fine. It was a bad relationship anyway, whatever. And then you rush the process, and then you find yourself in that same relationship, but with a different person. And you go through that whole process again. Now, let's just say that you're back down the emotional scale. Let's just say that now that relationship has ended, and you can say, okay, what can I learn from this? So I spoke about, several weeks ago, how we're in relations with many different things, in careers, with people of many different facets. So allow yourself to look at those things that you're transitioning in your life, okay? So look at those things that are great in your life, and those are the things that would be at this upper portion of your scale, but then also look at those things where you're in transition in your life. And notice and become really aware of those feelings and emotions that you're feeling. And honor those for what they are. And gradually, when you honor those and find the value in the feelings that you're feeling, and know that it's just for a time, it's not forever, it's just for a time, know that that is one of the quickest ways to move up the scale naturally without forcing it. And also, going through these upper emotions as well is really valuable, to sit and be with those emotions and feel those emotions and honor and find the value in those emotions. Because emotions are part of our internal guidance system. And when we discredit these emotions, when we discredit what they're showing us, then we start to move down the scale. But when you feel those emotions and you feel the validity and the value that each of those emotions holds, that's when you can really get the most out of life. And that's when you can feel yourself constantly moving up towards love and joy and appreciation and freedom, true freedom. And when you do that, this is such an amazing way and an easy way to become fearlessly inspired. And just going back to that room, metaphor, you're cleaning out your room and you're getting all this stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got all this stuff all over the place. Know that when you're in transition, that's what it's gonna feel like. It's gonna feel messy. It's gonna feel dirty and crappy and overwhelming sometimes. But know that, tackle one pile at a time, one feeling at a time, one day at a time, one moment at a time. And when you deal with one thing at a time, sooner or later, that room is going to be clean. And that transition will be done. And you will have moved up the emotional scale to the higher aspects, to the higher emotions. And then you're going to start to realize that, wow, I really am fearlessly inspired and I really am living a fabulous life. But the key is to honor your feelings and your emotions when you have them and find the value in it and not rush the process. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this Fearless Friday video. If you have, give it a thumbs up, Share it with your friends on Facebook and Twitter. Leave a comment below, and better yet, subscribe. Until next week, bye-bye.